I hate this. Oh, I'm literally like the biggest Whittaker fan. This hurts my soul. Come on, man. Oh, yeah, this is the morning after. Dude, this hurts me. These words have never ever come out of my mouth until now. Robert Whittaker is not in his prime anymore. Maybe that's a duh, bro, for you guys. This is terrible, man. This sucks. Like, honestly, this just shows how, like, just whenever you think Whittaker's prime was, not long ago at all, this just shows how good Whittaker was, because even now when he's not in his prime, like maybe it's, this fight, Chimaev, Ikram, Costa, like, let's say his prime ended, around 2022, he beat Adesanya, he got robbed against Adesanya, we're probably gonna get to that, destroyed Vittori, and even now, 3 years after that, not his prime anymore, a bit older, probably not as slick, he still made it this pissing close with the Reinier. The new guy coming up, the ONE FC double champ. Dude, it was that close that the Weasel even had to make a who won video, or who did they score it right, whatever the video is. And of course he scored a 5th round to the Reinier. And I agree. I got it spot on watching it live. I thought Whittaker, let's go through the fight now. Jesus, I can't speak. I thought Whittaker clearly won round 1. Landing great jabs, great 1-2s, defending the takedowns great. Just landing the better shots, I believe. Like more to the end of round 1, more of the knees to the body starting to hit. But that wasn't enough to, get the round. So Whittaker, 10-9. Then we get to round 2. And yeah, that was the round that, I was like, yeah, that probably goes to the Reinier. I don't think, I think it was round 3, right, when he got good stuff with the grappling, but maybe it was even the end of the second also. But of course, it was in the second when more of the knees started to play a role. And you don't have to be like an MMA genius to understand that when he launches in like that with full power, no defense, just one thing in his mind, the Reinier, bam, slam those knees. That busted up Whittaker. And to Whittaker's credit, like, yeah, people are talking about, as I said, not in his prime anymore. Whittaker looked gassed. Like, is he getting, is he, out of nowhere getting that much older or whatever? Like, was his stamina trash or whatever? Like, dude, Bo Nickel could take, what was it, like 1 or 2 of those knees. Whittaker took like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 every round. Probably more in some rounds. So credit to Whittaker. I mean, yeah. Dude, like, I wouldn't even, like, honestly, if Whittaker broke to those knees in like the 4th round or whatever, could we really blame him? Like, honestly, it's insane. So 1-1 going into the 3rd. I believe in the 3rd round, the Reinier got very good. He took Whittaker down. Much control, ground and pound and stuff. But early in that round, or the 3rd round, Whittaker got, like, dude, one of the cleanest overhands we see in top level MMA in a long time. The slow motion shot, the Reinier went after Whittaker, with the knees, and like, it doesn't look technical at all. But as we know now, especially in the middleweight division, you don't have to be, you don't have to look, slick technical to win. Because, I mean, in the middleweight division, Adesanya's probably the one that looks, with his feints and, how he moves and everything. He probably looks the most like, oh, just look how he twitches and his leg kicks and everything. But of course, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. So that doesn't mean at all. But, so Whittaker landed like, boom! That overhand, dude, I was like, oh my god! out of nowhere when the Reader was just swarming him and Whittaker was moving good and trying to counter and everyone, oh, what the fuck, and boom, I believe it was when the Reader, I think when he went for his knee, because when he went for his body knee, you know, his chin is up here and boom. Yeah, when he dropped him, you know, boom, punches, then an elbow, and you know, he, like, often with ground and pound, especially if someone swarms someone, you see a lot of shots, you know, go crazy, and you know, a lot is missing. And if you look at Kevin Holland fights, you know, he's very good at, you know, getting away from the shots even on the ground. And yeah, and even when someone tries to be more calculated, to, you know, it's over someone, and, you know, bam, and try to bam again. Often then, you know, maybe 50% or whatever or more. My hair. You know, a lot of the punches don't land, but Whittaker was like boom, boom, like he hit clean, and you know, and even when the ground and pound slowed down a bit, then he landed again, and I looked like, oh, is the Reader close to be like? That looked great, and it looked to me through, like, I don't know if it was 20-30 seconds, like with every punch that landed, I was like, oh, is he out? Oh, is he out soon? Like, dude, great ground and pound for Whittaker. That definitely won him. Yeah, exactly, because then, of course, late in the third round, as I said, they really got Whittaker down. He landed some shots, absolutely, but he didn't do anything that could bring back the round. So it was 2-1. I had a bad feeling this entire fight week. Like, this felt like, you know, DDP all over again. You know, the awkward guy that doesn't look good, but he continues to win. Of course, this wasn't what we thought going into the Whittaker DDP fight. You know, I thought it would be like the Vettori fight, just beating the shit out of DDP. But of course, I wasn't confident at all going into this fight. So I had a bad feeling, but still going into the fourth, like, dude, I knew that they could rob Whittaker and say like the first round to the Reader, or, you know, in some crazy way giving the third to the Reader. You know, the judges are retarded. So in that way, I wasn't sure at all. But of course, I was damn sure that, okay, Whittaker, whatever happens now, Whittaker is up 2-1. So going into the championship rounds, that's great for Whittaker. And I also felt like it's been good in one way, because Whittaker is known to, you know, when he loses, Adesanya finished him in round 2. Of course, DDP finished him in round 2, and Chimaev in round 1. So, you know, Whittaker, when he loses, it seems to be, you know, inside the first 2 rounds. And as I said, I'm not counting the Adesanya rematch, because Whittaker won and got robbed 100%. So yeah, Whittaker's last 3 losses is, you know, first or second round finish. So when he got out of the second, got into the third, I was like, okay. No, got into the fourth even. I was like, okay. Of course, I felt like the Reader took the fourth. You know, more knees and just, yeah. And going into the fifth, you know, it's so frustrating. It's a trash thing in the sport right now, when I'm not even that pissed at the Reader, honestly. Like, it wasn't like he was fighting a pussy style in the fight at all. Did he a bit in the fifth? Yeah, but it wasn't like Batista Aldo or Merab Aldo or of course Bonfim Wonderboy Robbery. It wasn't like that, because Whittaker, you know, got out of the position over and over. I'm not gonna say Whittaker is pillow hand, dude. Anything I have to say negative about Whittaker hurts my soul. It breaks my heart, honestly. I love Whittaker, but yeah, he just want to be home with his family, his 6 kids. Dude, credit on his wife, I guess. A lot of fun happening in that household. 6 kids. Yeah, the thing is with Whittaker, I'm not gonna call him pillow hands. I mean, if you're pillow hands, you're not like knocking out Ikram in the first round. Yeah, and what was I supposed to say? Like, even if he doesn't have the most power in the hands, you know, he's still pushing Vettori back, Costa, of course, tagging up Adesanya, but, you know, with the head kick, he hurt Cannonier bad. Did he hurt someone else bad with the head? I mean, Vettori, he fucked up. But Whittaker just, especially in the 5th round after going that hard for so long and all the body knees. Like, he landed some jabs, some shots and everything. And I believe just at the end, at the end of the 5th, before the Reinier cleansed up again, Whittaker landed some good shots, I believe. But as the Weasel showed, like, if you look at the shots, it was something insane. I think, I don't remember exactly. I think the Reinier, with all the like punches and everything in the clinch, I think he landed, what did he land? 68, like 60 or 80, something, like lots of shots compared to Whittaker's. I don't know, 15, 20, like it was a big difference. And as he also said, Whittaker probably landed, like, if you look at the biggest shots in that round, you could definitely give it to Whittaker. But at what point, yeah, you can land a few better, harder shots maybe, but how much does, because of course the scoring is damage overall, like number one. So even if you land a few better, harder shots or whatever, how many shots does then your opponent have to land that maybe isn't as hard? But if you land 6 hard strikes and he lands 20, 25, 30, 40, like not that hard, but just like quantity, like at some point it has to count. And when it was like, I don't know exactly, but 20 to 60, 70, whatever, maybe it even was 80, I'm not remembering exactly. Yeah, you have to go with the Reinier. And watching it live, I was honest to myself. I felt like the Reinier got the 5th. And going into the scorecard, Josh Pierce got around 48-47 to Whittaker. I was like, okay. The Reinier looked a bit confused, and of course he lost, and I was like, fuck, man, fuck. The thing, from my perspective, this is an honest take. Do I like robberies? No. Do I want the correct guy to win? I mean, I guess most of the time. I'm not saying because I like someone more that I want the other guy to get robbed. That's not what I'm saying at all. But for so many years now, the UFC have done so many robberies, and we can go into speculation about it always, like if it's a close, if you want to call it a close fight or a robbery, of course there's a difference. But all those kind of fight robberies or close fights, very very competitive, whatever, those fights seems to always go to the guy that benefits the UFC, that they want to win. And I'm not saying, for example, that O'Malley-Jan was a robbery. I believe watching it live, I had it for O'Malley, but that's a different point. But of course, that go to O'Malley. The close fight there would never gone to Jan, even in like more his territory, whatever, Abu Dhabi. So O'Malley got the one there. Usman got it against Colby when it should have been a draw. It should have been. Of course, Adesanya, Whittaker, robbery. They want the star Adesanya to continue. Yeah, we've seen so many close. I go, yeah, of course, Wonderboy Bonfim, they want Wonderboy out to the rankings. The younger guy Bonfim up the rankings, probably, maybe Wonderboy loses his next fight, and they, like, if he doesn't retire, they probably just maybe gets him out, fires him. So my point is, for once, I'm not saying I want robberies. First of all, I wasn't 100% because the fight was very close, I felt like. So I wasn't even like sure that if Whittaker got it, that it was a robbery, but I was leaning the Reinier. But so for me, after all this bullshit, and Whittaker already getting robbed of a second title that could have changed his entire career and legacy, probably got them in the summer, like International Fight Week, instead of Adesanya, Cannonier, we could probably got the trilogy. with Whittaker being more active in his prime. You know, he went in a bit, you know, too careful against Adesanya in the rematch. This time, I think he would have been more on. I think he would have beat Adesanya clear. Maybe even finished him, who knows, but probably decision. So that's an entire different topic. So after seeing all that bullshit and Whittaker just getting fucked over in his career, dude, I didn't care. If they robbed the Reader and gave it to Whittaker, I would have been fine. Like, after all the shit with Whittaker. But it's sad, and what I was gonna get into is that, like, we're seeing a new generation of middleweights coming up. I know the Reader and Whittaker is the same age, of course, but Whittaker probably I haven't watched the Reader's entire career, but Whittaker's been here for so long, man. You know, like 15, no, not 15, 10 plus years ago, finished by Wonderboy. Those wars with Romero, especially the second one, Jesus. You know, the brutal finishes against DDP and Adesanya, and even all the damage against Costa. You know, he scrapped with Cannonier, and Till even dropped him, and he's had so many fights, Whittaker, and been here for such a long time. You know, especially back when he was a champion, he had, like, all the time so many injury problems. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Riddler, or better say, if Whittaker is the more, like, older 34-year-old than the Riddler. Dude, after being on a 2-fight win streak, fighting Chimaev, and then going to fight in number 13. First of all, I think that's fucking disrespectful from the UFC. Fuck them. Why are they acting like the Riddler is promotable, or like he will be? The dude is 34. I don't know when he's 35, but like, if the guy will fight for a belt, he will fight for the belt when he's 35 or 36. So, like, I don't know what their plan is with that, but so anyway, yeah, like, Whittaker, he's a savage, he's badass, but also, like, he's too nice. Honestly, like, yeah, I mean, Strickland is being a bitch right now. I don't know what the entire... First of all, before he even got suspended, Strickland, from fighting, I guess, or whatever, he has, you know, like, he fought in February. We're now in July. You know, yeah, I mean, we know now, right? He didn't want to fight Whittaker. He didn't want that Adesanya rematch. I don't want to shit on Strickland, but, like, yeah, Whittaker should have got a Strickland fight, or of course, I mean, they could have done him versus, of course, Barala or Imavov, of course, or even if they wanted to do, like, a rematch against Cannonier. It gets too nice. It is what it is. Moving on, he lost. The Reader won, good for him. We can go into later maybe who should be next for the Reader. But the entire thing I started to talk about with like the new generation, the next generation of middleweights. Whittaker is a welterweight moving up because it was too hard for him. Of course, that was the right career move. He has done great at middleweight. He's a legend. Up there as one of the best middleweights ever. Absolutely. You can't have the conversation about, you know, the top guys. I'm not talking about, like, the top 5, or, like, if you talk about, like, the top 3 middleweights of all time, Whittaker should be in that conversation. Absolutely. And before DDP came in, I thought it was very clear that, you know, Whittaker, Silva, and Adesanya was in the top 3. Now, which DDP's already insane resume, I guess the top 3 that you could push out Whittaker and put him in. But if we look at all those guys, Bronson, Costa, Cannonier, Vettori, like, especially Vettori, and Gastelum, like, all these guys, Whittaker was, you know, just slicker, faster, I just was smarter when most of them does the same thing all over. Bronson shoots, swings like crazy. Vettori has his 1-2 and, you know, not good offensive grappling. Reinier, like, doesn't do much. And I would say he improved after the Whittaker fight. Costa, you know, seems pretty easy to break. I mean, now the new Costa seems, like the old Costa seems to be back. But so Whittaker, and I'm not, maybe it seems like I'm shitting on Whittaker. Like, Whittaker has a great resume of champions, and many of his guys has fought for a title or interim title. Depending on how you look at it, Whittaker in this era now, the guys are just becoming bigger and bigger. And as I said, Whittaker is the welterweight moving up, who Whittaker never had that body or training or whatever when he, you know, where he, you know, moved up to middleweight and he, you know, put on, you know, like DDP. It's crazy that DDP ever was a welterweight. He has really filled up. He looks big. And as I said, even Canada coming down from heavyweight, and Costa. I think Costa slimmed down a bit now, but, you know, Costa and Romero, they were so big. And even Adesanya, you know, how much taller he was than Whittaker, his range and everything. Like, even now, when Whittaker is older, out of his prime, even it was so close, very close fight with the Reinier. And, like, in this fight, it just came down to, I mean, when the first round started, it looked like a middleweight versus light heavyweight. You could even say welterweight versus light heavyweight. Like, the size, like, I know at the face off and everything, the weigh-in, you know, they really looked down on the Whittaker and he was clearly taller. But in there, you know, seeing them both move around, and even I think also the Reinier stands up like taller than the, you know, more straight, the Whittaker, and Whittaker is more down, you know, here. So that just made the difference look even more. So I was like, oh my god, watching it live. I was he looked so much bigger. So yeah, so I mean, that's just the thing, you know, him being a much bigger guy, they shouldn't be in the same weight class. You know, just him being bigger and like stronger probably, with this new generation, it, especially when Whittaker isn't in his prime. I think if they fought 3 years ago, whatever, I think, you know, Whittaker just, that was it. Whittaker, it was still this close. So with Whittaker maybe being, you know, a bit more sleek, so with the Reinier just being bigger and stronger, and, you know, he could just hold Whittaker against the cage, just push him up, and, you know, body shot. And, you know, it was, when he got Whittaker down, it was much easier for him to lay on him, hold him, get some punches in. You know, with being that much bigger, and it's the same thing, like with Chimaev. If Whittaker, like if it was the, you know, if the teeth wasn't fucked going into the fight, or if he just, managed to survive that first round. Like, all I think in that fight Whittaker had to do, and I'm still on that, is that Whittaker, he just had to survive. And I think it's the same with DDP, but Whittaker just has to survive, especially the first round. Of course, Chimaev will probably shoot again in the second, but if more the fight goes on, the more it more favors Chimaev's opponent. And so with Whittaker, even in that fight, like, I think he could get out. If he got out of the first round, he could have started to fucking jab the shit out of not as explosive, a bit tired Chimaev. You know, jab, leg kick, go for the head kick, whatever, and you know, getting more easy to to defend the takedowns and being able to win that fight. But again, like a bigger guy, a stronger guy, and, you know, he's explosive, fast. Chimaev gets Whittaker down quick, manages to get the submission. This new generation, like, it's kind of the perfect wave if for Whittaker to, unfortunately, go down the rankings, lose, whatever, with him being older, out of his prime, a bit slower maybe, you know, not as and also like the bigger guys coming in, stronger guys. So as I said, even if Whittaker is better and slicker and you just look at him as a fighter, his grappling, his defense, his striking. He can be better in everything, like maybe except the offensive wrestling. But the guys he's facing, bigger, stronger, younger, like that's it. And so yeah, it's a different. It's different fighting Bronson, Vettori, Gastelum, and fighting DDP, Chimaev, the Reinier. Like, dude, it's a big difference. Before going on Morgan about Whittaker and who he should fight next and everything, if you actually look at the rankings for the middleweight division, it actually fits great. If you look at next month, 319, we got DDP and Chimaev for the belt. I believe in September. Is it August? I don't know. In a fight night main event, Imavov and Caio Borralho is fighting. They are number 1 and 6. Whittaker will of course go out of the top 5 now. So the other guys that are up there is Strickland and Adesanya. It would have made a lot of sense for Strickland and Adesanya to have fought. Now. Now or next month or at the last pay-per-view, like now. 318, 317. But of course Strickland, sorry, but Strickland not being a bitch lately. I don't know what he's doing. And I guess in that case we could have gotten I don't know, the loser or winner of that. No, actually, if I guess if Adesanya in some way would have beaten Strickland, that wouldn't have happened. But in a fairy tale world, when Adesanya would have, in a fairy tale world, would have beaten Strickland, then of course it would have made perfect sense for Adesanya, the Reinier, and the winner fight for the belt, and you do the 2 losers, Whittaker and Strickland, versus each other. But my point is, DDP is fighting Chimaev, Imavov is fighting Borralho. And it would make no sense after fighting number 5 Whittaker for the Reinier to fight like number 7 Cannonier or Dolizzi, Hernandez. No. So the only one that makes sense, perfect. As I said, you get DDP Chimaev, Imavov Borralho, and then you do Reinier the Reinier versus Israel Adesanya. Adesanya probably has a better chance to catch the Reinier and actually finish him, or just beat him in the striking. Also being taller, longer arms, better reach and everything. But when it comes to the grappling, the Reinier probably gets Adesanya down in the first or second and can finish him. So it's a very different fight there when, with the styles and everything. So yeah, that's the clear, obvious fight to make next, Adesanya and Reinier the Reinier. And for Whittaker, it is sad. I can't harp on it. It's sad. I hate it that he lost. Of course, he will go down a bit. It is what it is. I mean, Strickland probably would have made a lot of sense, depending on how long Strickland is suspended and everything. Of course, that's a great fight to make. But no, I want Whittaker. Whittaker has been on a killer's row. A killer's row, Adesanya, then I know Vettori is trash, but still fighting Vettori, who just a year prior fought for the belt. Then he fights DDP, who is the champion. Then Paulo Costa, who looked pretty good. Like, as we see now, Paulo Costa is back. He hurt Whittaker. That was a dogfight back and forth. Ikram, who everyone says was the killer coming up. Chimaev, of course, fighting for the belt. Insane grappling. And now the Reinier, who is going into the top 5. So, dude, Whittaker should fight. Dude, give him Dolizzi. He will smack up Dolizzi. Give him Hernandez. I mean, he could definitely beat Hernandez. He could beat Brendan Allen. Yeah, I think, give Whittaker Roman Dolizzi. I mean, isn't Dolizzi coming off a win over Vettori? I think. So, yeah. I mean, they would be like, depending on where Whittaker goes in the ranking, if he goes down to Borralho, would probably move up on him. Dude, Whittaker shouldn't even move down lots, because below Whittaker is Caio Borralho. He can move up. Or not even move up, he will stay in the same place because the winner will probably move up to the top 5. And then at number 7 we have Reinier, and he's only on a 1-fight win streak over unranked Gregory Rodriguez, and Whittaker's beaten him, and he also only coming off. No, he's actually coming off 2 losses, isn't he? And there's a insect on my wall. Yeah, Whittaker is actually coming off 2 losses. Yeah, Whittaker is not. I don't think Whittaker will go to number. So what is it? Number 7 or 8. So he will be just below or just over. Just below or just above Dolitz in the rankings. So do that fight. Give Whittaker a win. You don't have to fight killers all the time. You have lost twice. Move down a bit. Fucking, head kick the shit out of Dolitz. Beat him up. Amazing. So yeah, that's the move for Whittaker. Absolutely. Jesus, guys. I talked for a long time. I don't know how long this video is gonna get. But thank you so much for watching, guys. We have the latest video right here. My latest playlist. Latest playlist right here. Thank you for watching.